What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Off Topic with Khadeem and Doug. How are you doing, buddy?
Feeling pretty dark.
That is creepy as hell. Like when you talk through it, it's okay, but when you don't say anything and just like do like you did, don't say anything and just give a thumbs up. Yeah, see, that's fucking weird. I don't like it. There we go.
For
All
our
right.
audio, for our audio only listeners, I had a black mask on, just trying to get into the spooky season vibe. Uh, Kadeem, what's up, man? How you been?
I'm great. Been playing a lot of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Watching the Celtics be the best team in the league. How about you?
just been busy, man. Just staying busy. Watched a little basketball myself last night. Excited, man. We got some good reviews from last week overall
Awesome.
on the podcast. So excited to be back in here with you, and looking forward to another good podcast.
After last week, we had a little bit more fan engagement or listener engagement, and we were sent a theory for you to give your thoughts on. The theory is that humans, it's a bit of a conspiracy, obviously. Humans originated on Mars, and we came to Earth, and something happened that caused us to lose all our technology. So essentially, you could think of it as we did to Mars what we're doing to Earth, making it too hot, making it unlivable, whatever. Came here to Earth, something happened, maybe an asteroid hit or something knocks us to the Stone Age, and we have to learn everything over again. What are your thoughts?
I mean,
I think
I don't like this one.
okay.
Um, it's got like Doctor Stone vibes for me. Like
God, I love Doctor Stone.
Doctor Stone's great, but it just I don't know. I just don't love that one because if an asteroid did hit, like we're losing all life, so life would have to kind of restart probably. If the asteroid, if we're like, here's the thing: unless it's a like Earth-shattering asteroid, we're not losing everything. Like it has to be a planet-busting scenario to lose everything.
If I'm playing devil's advocate here, most of what we had, like I think most stuff that's like concrete and things like that will probably be gone in a few thousand years. Things like steel and stuff will probably erode away in hundreds of thousands of years. I think the stuff that's gonna, I think where we fucked up here is like we have like plastic, which I think is pretty much here forever. So
Yeah,
if we're assuming that whenever our, let's just play that this did happen, they came to Earth and they used a lot of natural materials to build, like wood or stuff like that. Then when it hits, it's easier to believe that,
hmm
and then if you have just isolated pockets of humanity in different places around the globe, we repopulate.
yeah.
Obviously, it didn't happen, but I think it's kind of fun to think about.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just I guess it depends on what kind of technology you mean. Like if you mean, fire, because at the time fire would have been the biggest thing possible. Like,
Yeah.
it depends on what kind of technology you're talking about.
And I guess if we're able to migrate a whole planet of people, like if we had the technology to destroy Mars, we probably would have something that we built here. But
That's why I thought it had to be like a planet busting
yeah,
event for it
yeah,
to really like wipe out everything.
yeah.
But it's a fun. We appreciate you guys sending that in. Obviously, we are open to all fan theories. Please send them to our email, our Twitter. We'll drop those in the show notes at the end of the show. Kadeem, keep us rolling.
So because this is our last show before Halloween, we're doing a slight break from conspiracy theories, and we're creepy as hell. We're doing a slight break from conspiracy theories, and we're going to do urban legends. We found
Yes.
a couple of fun urban legends that we thought would be pretty cool to talk about, just get into the festive theme of, as Doug says, spooky season. So before we start, Doug, do you have a favorite urban legend?
Mm, Not that comes to mind. I just remember like I associate urban legends with I Know What You Did Last Summer for some reason.
Okay.
And that used to be I used to really enjoy that movie. So I don't know why I associate urban legends with that. Maybe because he was an urban legend and then he came to fruition. Maybe that's part of the reason. But I just that movie just makes me think of urban legends. So that'll be mine. I'll just pick I Know What You Did Last Summer type thing.
When I was young, I actually thought that crocodiles lived in New York sewers.
That's a good one.
I actually thought, and for some reason in my head, that was the reason they wrote the Ninja Turtles, is because crocodiles actually live there. So they wanted to make a hero out of something so people wouldn't be afraid.
Nice.
So yeah, those are mine. Obviously, tell us your favorites. We've got 4 of them here. This one, oh, small disclaimer. We are American, so we chose American urban legends,
Yeah.
That, and these are just short descriptions of them. They're obviously not in depth. So, please don't fault us for leaving out crucial information. These are just Google searches here. The first one, and this is one that I know is very popular. So this is all true. In the early 1900s in Georgia, there's a black town called Oscarville. Until in 1912, a mob drove all of the black people out and into the surrounding towns. Fast forward to the 1950s, and they constructed the Beaufort Dam. The former town of Oscarville was flooded and turned into what now stands as Lake Lanier. So whether it's by the souls of those lost in the riot or by the ones that were trapped in the Oscarville cemetery, many believe that spirits haunt Lake Lanier. This is due to the incredible number of drownings that happened in Lake Lanier. Just from 1994 to 2023, more than 200 people drowned in that lake. And if you just take your phone and Google Lake Lanier, it legitimately looks like once a month somebody drowns there. People who swim there say that they have felt arms or legs brush against them in the water, and they turn around to see that they're alone. So I want to hear what you think about this before I go.
That is absolutely fucking frightening. Because here's the thing, you don't like it when a fish touches you and you know it's a fish.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine in the back of your mind knowing that a shit ton of people have died in this lake? Mm-hmm. And also, why are you swimming there? That alone is weird to me. But just the thought of something touching you that's a hand in the water it just makes my spine tingle. I don't love it at all. Keep going. Ooh, this is making me.
So I know a few people in Georgia, and whenever, especially those I follow on Twitter, and whenever you see an article of somebody who died in Lake Lanier, they always say why do people still swim here?
Yeah.
This is one that I think a lot of people who actually live around it take pretty seriously. I remember in 2015, I think Julio Jones was on a ski boat or a jet ski and lost a $20,000 earring in it. And everybody in the comments said it's just not worth it to go back. A lot of people don't play around with Lake Lanier. I don't think you're really into ghosts or anything, but I know me, I'm not really into ghosts or spirits or anything, but I'm also not going to test it.
Yeah.
If you say a lot of people drown in there, I'm just going to avoid it.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you feel?
I think, the numbers alone make this real to me. 200 people in a span of 20 years, give or take. That's more than enough evidence for me to this lake is got something going on. It's got to be something. Again, supernatural, it depends on how how your mind works, I think plays a big part into that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, count me out on Lake Lanier. That sounds terrifying. And I think, like I said, when you're in the water, you're in the back of your head, you're thinking, all these people have died here. And I think your mind plays that trick on you that you're being touched or
Mhm.
something's happening. It could just be seaweed, but it kind of wraps you the wrong way and you think it's a hand. There's probably realistic reasons why these things happen.
Mhm.
But when you're in that situation and you're in that water, it's probably really hard to rationalize what's actually happening. Count me out on Lake Lanier. I would never swim there after learning this information.
It almost reminds me. Did you see the newest Candyman movie?
No, I was out on Candyman 25 years ago. Whenever they made when I first saw the one, I was like, hook too much. Damn, just it was a lot for me.
Racist. In the newest Candyman movie, they basically made it. They actually added an interesting twist, and they basically made it that Candyman is the embodiment of Black rage from racial injustice, and that's
Okay.
kind of what feeds the spirit that is Candyman. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's what reminded me kind of this with the spirits of the town who were driven out by a racial mob, things like that. Our next one also comes from the South, from Louisiana. It's a bit of a stretch, but I personally enjoyed this one.
Okay.
So, some time ago, a group of dwarves and albinos were forced to live in the woods away from society for fear that their genetic differences were caused by the work of the devil. After being segregated from society and inbreeding, they fell victim to cannibalism.
Okay.
Apparently, the legend is that there is a group of albino inbred dwarves called the Grunch because they live off Grunch Road. Apparently, they feed mostly on goats, but attack people nearby when they can catch them. The legend is that if you are driving on Grunch Road and see what looks like an injured person or an injured goat, do not stop. Their plan is to feign injury, get good Samaritans to help them, and once you stop and help, you are eaten. You are killed and eaten.
Jesus.
A bit of a
That
reach.
this gives me wrong turn vibes.
That's exactly what I thought of. I thought a wrong turn and hills have eyes.
I'm sure Hills Have Eyes. God damn it, that movie is the worst. But Wrong Turn, like I feel like that's probably based something around what this is.
Hmm.
Except they might not be dwarfs, but they were kind of albino-ish.
Hmm.
But yeah, those kind of legends are scary, man. Because like you see like a person who's injured on the side of the road, you're like, oh, should I be a good person? And then you're like, well, what if this person kills me? So I mean, that aspect of it I find to be possible.
Hmm.
But the actual dwarves and albinos inbreeding and stuff is a little far-fetched for me. So, interesting, but I'm going to say probably not.
I'm gonna say probably not now. If you had told me like in the 1940s, before everything was as flushed out as it was,
Mm-hmm.
if you take me back to the earlier 1900s and say, yeah, there's just kind of this backwoods ass part of Louisiana where, if they catch you, they'll probably eat you. I could get with that. Like you said, the dwarves and albinism, that's kind of weird. But if you told me, yeah, there was an inbred part of the South where, sorry to our Southern listeners, if you said there was an inbred part of the South that was like, yeah, the law really doesn't come out here. People really don't come out here. If you get lost, you don't get heard from again. I could believe that.
I think that's fair. I think that, yeah, the earlier in time that some of these could happen, the
Hmm.
more likely for me to also happen. Yeah, no, I think that one's actually very interesting. But yeah, like I said, I'm probably out on it in current times.
Okay. Up next, we have the legend of Julia Laguerre. Might be pronouncing that wrong. So this is from South Carolina in the 1800s. There was a 22-year-old Julia Laguerre who died. According to the legend, during this time, they didn't have the same embalming methods and preservations that we have today. So people had to be buried very quickly so they wouldn't start to decompose. Julia was buried the same day that she was pronounced dead in the family mausoleum. Fast forward 15 years later, someone else in the Laguerre family dies, so the mausoleum has to be opened. When it was opened, the family saw Julia's remains on the ground. Turns out she was not dead when they buried her. She was in a coma like state and then buried alive. Since that discovery, the mausoleum cannot be closed.
Oh.
It's been found with the doors opened continuously. People have put new doors on it, chains, and locks. Each time when they return, they find it open. Once, and this was around 60 years ago, they put a door on it that was considered to be unbreakable, and it was found taken completely off the hinges. Now they just leave the door off of it because there's no point in trying to close it, and it's kind of an attraction where people can just walk into. People who walk in say that some people who walk in say they feel a bit of an uneasy presence and believe it is Julia's ghost or Julia's spirit who keeps the door open as she, suffocated to death, or not suffocated, but, starved to death because she couldn't get out. She never wants to be trapped in there again. Where are we at with that?
I don't like that they just let people go in. Like I like that, like, to keep maybe the mystery a little bit more, because now you never know what, like, people are actually seeing. But I don't hate it. I'm into it. I think it's cool. The fact that they couldn't close the door is very interesting to me. That's a part that I really like.
They said like the local, because it's right near a church, and I guess the church maintains the ground. They said like the priest or whoever of the church kept ordering that it be sealed, and it just it wouldn't work.
That's very interesting to me.
There's something there. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I like that one. I like that one a lot, actually. That's probably I like that one the most so far.
Really?
Yeah, I do like that one.
Okay. So, our final one is The Legend of Robert Johnson. Have you ever heard this one?
I don't think so.
Oh, I love this one. If Jordan Peele ever watches this, I hope you turn this into a movie. So, early in the 1930s, Robert Johnson was an aspiring blues musician who, from the legend, had no talent. According to the legend, Robert went to a crossroads and made a deal with the devil, giving his soul in exchange for fame and musical ability. Johnson quickly rose to fame in 1937, but his career ended when he died 7 months later in 1938 at the age of only 27 years old. It is unknown how he died, as even his official death certificate states no official cause. Two of his most famous songs, are called Crossroad Blues and Hellhound on My Trail, which has led people to believe that not only did he make a deal with the devil for fame, but after he quickly rose to fame, the devil came to collect and took his life.
Yeah. Okay. I'm into it. I think you give that to John David Washington and Jordan Peele, and they probably make a banger.
That's $1 billion.
I like that one. I mean, obviously, I'm not religious, so the devil aspect of it is tough for me. But I like the story. I think the story is good. Like the concept of a musician willing to do anything to rise to fame. I think that all feels realistic, but the devil part's probably what keeps it out for me.
So, I listened to Crossroad Blues, Hellhound on My Trail. Don't enjoy them.
I wouldn't expect you to like 1930s music.
I'll tell you, if that's how he sounds with the talent, I cannot imagine how he sounded before. It just doesn't sound great. It just doesn't sound great. As I was reading, I saw one thing. A lot of people said that his music, though was very brief, was kind of influential. Like he could kind of be considered the first rock star from how quickly he rose and the fact that he toured around the South.
Yeah.
Also, some people attribute the legend to the fact that white people discovered his music about 30 years later and that he was, he had no presence before, came in a flash and was gone. And so they think that's where the legend came from. But I thought this was, to me, this is my favorite one.
Okay.
Probably don't believe it, but
Yeah.
just very much enjoy it. As I said, I hope they make a movie out of this one. I'd love to.
Yeah, no, I think this is a fun one. Believability is low, but in terms of story, I really think it's there. I think that's a great story. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one for sure. If that's your last one, Khadeem, I want to bring up one that is here in Ohio. I just remembered it. This is one that I learned about when I was a little bit younger, and I kind of forgot about it until you brought this up.
Okay.
But in Ohio, we have a bridge called Crybaby Bridge. Have you ever heard of it? So the legend is that a baby was fell off the bridge, dropped into the water, and drowned.
Okay.
And when you take your car across the bridge, you're supposed to, if you stop, turn everything off, and you're silent, you can hear a baby crying when you cross the bridge. And I remember going and trying it and things like that. Like it was very kind of frightening. And then part of that, escalated when there was rumors that there was a cult in that woods, that if you were to go on that road, they would chase you in their own vehicle.
Fuck no.
No, I mean, people would, all kinds of stories came out from this. And then stories picked up again in 2010. There was an elderly woman that was found strangled to death and burned at the bridge.
My God.
Yeah. So that the part of the cult was definitely reignited in that sense. But the way I remembered it was that you'd always go and try to hear that the baby crying. And it was always very, iffy if you actually heard it or not.
So how old were you when you went?
Let's see. Probably I could start driving in 2017. So probably right around 2006, 2007 back then. So 15, 16. So yeah, it's been a long time.
How
but
far is it from here?
Let me look. It's in Salem, Ohio. So pretty far away.
Spooky name. Like, do you remember? Like, did you have to drive a couple hours? Where you just visited?
Yeah, it was a long night. It was a long night drive.
I was gonna say, if it's close, we can do it for a certain. No, I don't know why I'd say that. We get a billion listens. I'm not doing. I'm not.
I mean, I'm not opposed to doing some things for the show.
Here's the thing. The crying part isn't what scares me. It's some just weird ass following me in a big truck. Like it
is scary.
Crazy.
I agree. It is.
I had never heard that.
So yeah, that was some local or Ohio flavor for this for the podcast today.
And so, did you hear
I don't remember hearing it. No, but if you're quiet enough, like I said, your mind can do some things.
So, like, out of all like the spooky stuff, like, what scale of 1 to 10 is 1 is like absolutely not possible, 10 is very much yes. Like, how much do you believe in something like ghosts?
I'll say like a 50-50, like half.
Really?
So I guess, Mike, all right, let me ask you, since you brought this up. What do you think is happening when you have the sleep paralysis and you see something in the corner of the room?
I just think you're just freaking out. Like, I have sleep paralysis issues pretty much. But like,
I was gonna say, I figured you do with your sleep issues. You probably have some.
I have sleep paralysis issues a lot, and I just think you're freaking out. I think you're kind of in a panic state because you kind of can't move. And I think that my personal opinion is that when you look into the dark, your mind tries to construct things out of the small stuff it can see. Mm-hmm. And so, you'll see a jacket on the back of a chair and think it's an old lady hunched over or something.
I mean, and that's what I think a lot of it is in your mind, and your mind creates a lot of things. But we've heard so many tales and stories and real stuff that sounds so real from people that it's hard to discredit everyone that has a ghost story. Do you think you've ever seen a ghost?
No, I don't. Here's the main thing that keeps me from believing in ghosts. I just feel like if ghosts were real, they would kill living people all the time. Like, think if we like John Wayne Gacy as a ghost, I just don't know why he just wouldn't go kill every person he can, because why not? Nobody can stop him now. I think that's the main thing, is just
it's a lot more That's a lot more frightening than just a ghost.
No, think about it. Think about it, or like think like you have like a race riot and 50 people get killed for no reason. If ghosts exist, I just feel like they're just gonna, like, you are on Lord of the Rings 3 when those ghosts hop off the ship and just tank the army. I just feel like you get stuff like that. That might be a little bit too logical of a way to look at ghosts, but there are some areas where I wouldn't want to go to. Like, if you told me, like, okay, two places I feel are, if anywhere is haunted, this would be, is like an abandoned prison or an abandoned insane asylum. I wouldn't even try it. If you told me to go to an abandoned insane asylum, I would not do it for any amount of money.
That seems fair to me.
That's like stuff like that. I'm not gonna get with.
You don't even want to risk the fact that it, like, you may not believe it, but you don't even want to risk the fact that they could be real.
I don't do that. I don't believe in like demons or anything, but like, would you do a Ouija board?
I don't love it. I don't know. I don't love it, so probably not. But if there's enough people around, I probably would. I don't love stuff like that. I don't like testing things.
Yeah, that's what, like, you don't think it's real, but why play with it?
Yeah, no, I probably out on the Ouija board.
What about, now I'll tell you one that's really popular. What about skinwalkers? Are you familiar with skinwalkers?
Aren't they just some kind of humanoid?
Yeah, so like what people talk about as far as skinwalkers now is kind of ridiculous. Like, people will see their dog looking weird or see a dog walking on two legs and be like, oh, it's a skinwalker. And that's not what it is. Like, it comes from a Native American legend of, like, it was supposed to be like a priest, I believe. Like, you were kind of like a dark priest and you could transform into a coyote or something like that. And I think people have taken that into, like, anytime they see an animal or a deer or something like that looks weird, they're like, oh, it's a skinwalker. And I kind of hate that. But are you into the shape shifting?
No.
I was going to say, please say no.
No. But I do think it is weird when you catch animals doing something odd. Like, I do think it is weird. Like, there's something weird to it. Like, I don't know what I was watching, but it was a video on YouTube, and this dog was weirdly running around the room on its 2 feet. And it was like going in and out of rooms and shit on 2 feet. And I really didn't like it. It really bothered me.
That's not okay.
It was really scary. I didn't love it at all. I kept scrolling. I watched enough on it. I'm like, if this dog comes at the camera, I'm gonna flip out. Like, I had to keep moving. But yeah, look up that video and tell me what you think, because that video is frightening.
I don't think I benefit from that, to be honest with you. I just don't think that helps anybody. Last question. As I said, last show before Halloween, greatest horror movie ever in your opinion?
Halloween 1.
Really? That Halloween 1 is really, really good, I will admit.
Yeah, it's the most iconic of the slasher movies, in my opinion. So it's still my favorite. Yeah, Halloween 1. I think
you're about to say mine. It's gonna piss me off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll say mine. I'll say honorable mention after. Go ahead.
For me, it's The Thing.
That's a good one.
I love The Thing. I think it's kind of like perfect. Like, even like, of course, there's not a bunch of CGI, but like the practical effects are good.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they foreshadow it at the beginning, like, I don't think there are subtitles. At the beginning when that guy's yelling at that dog, like, apparently in Russian or whatever he's saying, he said that's not a dog, that is a thing. Which is really cool. I think The Thing's, and then the whole at the end not knowing, if that's him or not. I think The Thing is an excellent. That's, to me, the best horror movie.
I was gonna go like slightly more modern than Halloween, because I enjoyed, I think Scream, like the original, like the first Scream was a really solid movie. I'm more into slashers than like
Ghost movies.
like ghosts and all that kind of horror. Like I'm more
Mhm.
into slashing because I think that's more tangible and more real. So it's like easier to. This one guy just killed 24 people in a town. I don't know why I think that's more realistic because I guess people are just. I don't know. I prefer that kind of horror to, other horror.
I agree. I do think that's better. I think what happened is horror movies kind of fell off like around. Oh, dog! Do you know what horror movie scared the shit out of me? Have you ever heard when a stranger calls?
Is that when they're at the house and the people in the masks keep coming around?
No, that's called The Strangers, which also scary.
Okay.
When a stranger calls is a woman's babysitting these kids, and she keeps getting phone calls like, "Have you checked the children? Have you checked the children?" And like after a while, it's starting to freak her out, so she keeps calling 911. They're like, "Okay, if he calls back, we'll trace it." And like she calls the neighbor, and like you can see the neighbor's night tone. Like there's the numbers on the fridge. Like if you need help, call the neighbor. She calls the neighbor, nobody answers, and you just see somebody walk past the window.
Oh, I hate that.
And so the guy calls again, like, "Have you checked the children?" And like she has 911 trace it. 911's like, "Ma'am, the call is coming from inside the house." And just like when I was young, I had to stay home sometimes, by myself.
Yeah.
And that's just so fucking scary.
Yeah, it is.
When you're like 10 years old, that is terrifying. But I think more modern scary movies, I think The Conjuring's an excellent scary movie.
I just don't like that shit.
I love The Conjuring. The first Conjuring movie is perfection.
Yeah, I think because you can reach out and you could touch Michael Myers, like you could touch Jason. Like yes, they're gonna kill you, but you have a chance. Like you could hit
some
them.
type of way to fight back.
Like I could shoot them, but I can't shoot a demon or like I remember I don't know which. We're going off on a tangent here, but whatever. What's the ghost movies? They're really popular. They've made like 6 of them now.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, the one where the daughter walks into the ghost and thuds.
Number 3.
And she looks up, and you can see, like, for some reason, like, you can just feel how like, large that presence is.
Yeah.
And like the thud that it makes when she runs into it, freaked the fuck out of me. Like, and I just like you can't touch. Like you can obviously she touched it, but you can't hurt it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I go into a more realistic where I could maybe hit Michael Myers and at least get a 3 chance to fight back. Get it like 3 more steps away. I don't know. That in my mind, that's how it works for me.
That's fair. All right, and then the last question. Which horror movie or villain or anything were you most scared of as a kid?
Chucky.
Same.
I watched Chucky when I was 6 or 7 on VHS. Freaked me the fuck out. I slept in my parents' room for probably a month.
My mom used to collect these big ass collectible dolls.
Yeah.
And after I saw Chucky, Chucky scared the shit out of me. But then she had them all in one room. And I remember I walked in one day and that was when I learned a doll's eyes follow you.
Yeah.
And I almost wanted to cry. Like I ran out, I locked the door, and I was like calling my grandmother, like, "I need you to come pick me up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Chucky just, really, really frightened me when I was like 6 or 7. Like, imagine that, like watching something on VHS. Like, It's just crazy now. Question for you though, before we do leave. This is more meant to be fun. If you could lock yourself in a room that's like not got any weapons, would you fight Chucky and just beat the shit out of him? Because he can't hurt you without really.
Does he have the knife?
No weapons.
Oh,
no weapons. You just get
I'm fucking him up now.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was like when I was scared and I couldn't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I could always imagine like if I fought him with no weapons, I could just stomp on him as much as I wanted.
It used to be terrible. Like remember, like people would grab them and like throw them in a trash can,
Yeah.
And like they kind of do like this, like check the blood off their head, and they look, and he's just gone from the trash can. Dog, I had no time because I just knew nobody would believe me.
Yeah.
Nobody would
No,
believe me.
I'm with you. No, this has been a lot of fun though. I'm glad you asked some of these questions because they really jog some old memories.
All right, so we're back next week with more conspiracies. Doug's got us on that one.
Yep, can't wait.
So once again, tell us any of your favorite urban legends. Did we have one we told wrong? Did we have one we should have included? What was your favorite as a kid? On TikTok, on Twitter, email, everything will be posted. Oh, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts. All our info will be in our bio. Doug, anything you want to say before you get out of here?
Nope. Just want to thank everybody who's been listening, helping us out. We're on Facebook now too. Guys, we're going to keep growing this, keep getting better every week. Thank you for listening. If you do listen, give us a review. 5 stars always helps. We understand if it's not 5 stars, be honest with us. And we will see you guys next week for some more off topic.
All right. Y'all have a good one.